Joe, you had mentioned there were a couple of places where stuff needed to come out. If you
Just that one spot where I kind of stumbled over my words.
If you would do me a huge favor and give me an idea where that was.
It was.
See, I want to get you edited eventually.
It was before housekeeping.
See, there was this. See what had happened was I was saying some words, and then they didn't all come out at the same time, so it was like gobbledygook. Yep, I diligently marked every one of them.
Oh, did you?
Down in my mind.
Oh,
and I have promptly forgotten. Yeah, there was the one.
It was towards the tail end.
It was it was when I lost my page. It was when I lost my page.
I pretty much listened to the whole show, so I'll likely catch them, but I mean, if you could tell me where they are, that way I can 100%
I know where it's at.
Make sure to get it.
It's right after we finish talking about the tweak tool. It's right after we finish that.
Is there an icon in Audacity that shows me where that's at?
Sure. I don't know. It's in hour 7 of our recording.
That's about right.
So if you can find it in there.
Let's keep going so we can play it back and find it.
Yeah. You know what? Let's scrap the whole thing.
No, let's just have a listening party right now, and we'll listen to the whole thing.
Let's invite everybody. Here, I'm bringing in the whole group,
all right.
The whole Telegram group,
all right.
all 3 of these guys. Hello! Coming up in this episode, we're going to roll on into Arco. We're going to get our Plex on and pick January's distro, which is... Stick around! Hey there, and welcome to the Linux User Space. I'm Joe.
I'm Leo.
I'm Dan.
Well, guys, here we are. It's almost the end of the year, and this is our last episode of the year, isn't it?
This will be the last one we release. Yes.
I'm bad at math, and I'm even worse at calendars. So
okay.
Yeah.
We'll take our word for it.
Yeah.
Yep. This will be our final year release, and good riddance 2020.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I would not have believed that it's the end of the year. It was like 70-something degrees outside today. It was very nice.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Hung out outside all day, got me some vitamin D, that whole thing.
Man, it wasn't that hot here.
I think we made it into the upper 30s today.
Oh, wow.
That's Fahrenheit, too,
Yeah.
Sweltering.
Yeah.
It's been cold. So we had some little kitties. They decided to shack up in my shed in the back. They found a little hole. Well, the mama cat did, and now we have more than that. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
More kitties. Yeah. Okay, well, there's no kitties in... Well, I guess there could be. Yeah, anyways, we're going to talk about some Linux stuff.
Not kitties, gremlins.
Yeah. So it's now a little later than we normally start, and it's because, it's all Leo's fault. Leo, what in the world?
Blame Joe. Yeah.
No, we're going to blame DNS because it's always DNS. Every time.
Always. It's always DNS. I don't know how many times in my life I have said that. It is always DNS.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. I connected on today over Zoom, and we started talking about or finalizing our decision on distros. Stick around, wink, wink. And I tried to go to Google to search something up. Well, that didn't work. And so I tried to hop on Twitter, and that didn't work. But this whole time, I'm on Zoom chatting to everybody. So I'm like, what is going on? Something died in the network, and I have to figure out what it is. Dan called it right, though. He said it's probably DNS, and, well, it's always DNS. So, yeah. And, yeah, so I started looking around, and I tried to SSH into my Pi-hole machine. That didn't work. And so, yeah, there's step 1 in our troubleshooting extravaganza that, ultimately led to me logging into my VM host, which hosts that box. I get into it, and it's a string of errors, a few halts here and there, and a few timeouts here and there, and I'm like, oh, no. something bad is happening, but none of this makes any sense. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I Control Alt F, no, because I'm in Linux, logged into another Linux box, and for some reason I can't get the Control Alt F key to get shot to the Linux VM instead of my desktop. So every time I try to do it, it's like, hey, guess what? Here's TTY number 4 for you.
Yeah.
No, that is not what I wanted. So anyway, I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just going to bring it down hard and bring it back up. So I bring it down and it has an error. And I'm like, what? Why would you have an error if I just ripped the plug out the back of you? And so I tried to turn it back on and it was like, I'm not going to do it.
Nope.
No. And I'm
Not
like,
gonna do it.
what is going on? So the first thing that came into my mind was, oh no, my entire ESXi box is just crumbling to the ground. And this thing has been rock solid for years. So I'm like, what happened? And so I start poking around. I accidentally click on storage and my 256 gig SSD pops up as 0 bytes in A on usage. And I'm like, what?
That's not good.
This is not good. And so I go back to my VM and I look at its storage and it says missing or disabled or something like that. And at that point, I knew that SSD is dead.
Yep.
So I lost an SSD right before we started to record, and that just happened to be where my VM of Pi-hole lived.
Man down.
Yeesh.
Man down.
Yeah. See, and this is a good reason to have just that, Pi 1 sitting in the corner with Pi-hole installed on it. That way you can just quickly make some changes. But yeah, in the interest of time, I just swapped my DNS to Cloudflare's DNS, and we're back up and running here locally. But yeah, after this, I'm going to have to go fix that.
Yeah,
It took 13 tries in the GUI, but to manually take.
That's another thing. It's 2020, y'all. And for some reason, I can't make a change in the GUI of the network configuration, and it just, is that. Just no, It will not do that. So I had to, I made the change, I had to kill my network connection and bring it back up. I know everybody's nodding their head, yeah, you have to do that. Yeah, but my thing is, why?
Yeah.
We could be past this, I imagine.
Yeah. I bet there are other operating systems that are past this.
I mean,
we won't mention them.
Not to point fingers, but BSD is out there. I don't know. Do they do that?
I don't know what they do.
Does anybody? Hey, somebody who uses BSD, let us know how your network.
Yeah, can you make changes like that on the fly? Dan and I were talking about it. NetPlan will allow you to do that, but you typically don't get NetPlan.
You only get that on your server. So
pretty much. So yeah. Had my server not crumbled into dust because of a broken SSD, I might have been able to make the change there.
Well, speaking of hardware problems, or I wouldn't say problems. I'd say
it's a problem.
It sounds like a problem.
That is DNS is a problem. We had fun talking last week in our prep meeting about, I saw a line outside of a store, and I thought, it's an electronics store. I want to go stand in line. I wonder what they got. So it was early one morning on a Friday, and I saw a line outside of Micro Center in Atlanta, and I thought, there's only one reason fools are standing outside a line in Micro Center this early in the morning.
Free $10 drone. Drone.
Must be a free drone. No, they had got a shipment from AMD and NVIDIA on some processors and some video cards. So I thought, let me go stand in this line. Let's see what happens. So I got in line. Anyways, by the time I got up there, I was able to walk out with a 6800 AMD video card and a 5800X. Is that what it is? 5800X AMD GPU.
Nice.
So great. I put those together, built my machine in the next couple of days, I think Monday, Tuesday last week, and got it together. So here I have I even got the 4.0 M.2, I've got 4,000 megahertz RAM. I've got the latest X570 motherboard. I've got a 850 watt power supply. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, that should just hover on the floor, about 3 inches off the floor.
Yes, ready. I am going to just kill some FPSs, right? So anyways, get it all hooked up, running good. This is my work box. So first thing that goes on the work box is Windows, of course.
How sad.
Because It's what I got. It's just what it is, guys. So, but my problem has nothing to do with Windows, thankfully. So I get it going, and I do all my updates, get everything in there, and I thought, okay, great.
12 hours later.
So I fire up Forza, which is like a racing game, racing simulator. So it's, it's not the, I don't know, most taxing, but it's
got some decent graphics to it. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I mean, yeah. So fired up, get running, and boop, computer turns off. And I thought, well, now I'm expecting blue screen with text all over it when it boots back up, but nope, just boots right up to the login screen. Nothing. I go, interesting. Get in there. It's like, okay, well, let me put on some, I put all the HUD up basically to give me my temperature and specs and everything while it's running. So I fire up the game again. Boop. 5-6 minutes in, shuts off. So dig and dig and dig. Can't find anything.
And it was your cat the whole time hitting the power button.
Right.
Was that DNS too?
Yeah,
probably.
I consult people. I consulted you guys, even just chit-chatting, and Dan swore it was the power supply.
I didn't swear.
Well, you don't swear. You're actually
right.
Pretty. Yeah, you're not a swear guy. But yeah, you did say that would be one place to look, and I did. I checked. I tested everything. I got in the next day. I tested everything out. So in Windows, one thing that is, I think, a nice thing is a lot of the motherboards now, there's a little trigger basically when you install Windows. It's like, hey, I'm a MSI or I'm an Asus or I'm a whatever. Download my utilities if you want it. You can hit yes. So I had done it because it's nice to tell you where you're at with your firmware and everything else. So I had put that in early and did all the updates through it, and it's nice because you don't have to do anything from the BIOS and this and that. So I the next day I look in and I'm like, you know what? Let me look in the log. There's got to be something because it's still doing it. And I was getting like, the only way it wouldn't do it is if I went down to 30 frames per second at like medium settings. And that is not what you want to do.
Well, that's totally what you paid all that money for.
Right. When you got all this money for this new hardware. So I'm like, this is stupid. Like, what is going on? I'm Googling. I'm furiously Googling, like angrily Googling. Like, what is wrong with this thing?
This is the only acceptable time to have blue switches in a keyboard. That way,
right.
You can hear the fury.
So I find one, and I mean, I literally was just rolling my finger through Reddit, and I find this one post.
It's always the one.
Yep.
Yeah, because I did find this error, and it was a core error. So I thought, man, maybe I got a bad processor or my motherboard. Like maybe it's just I'm gonna have to RMA this thing, which then that's annoying because it's like holiday time, right? RMA, like I'm not getting this thing back anytime soon.
No.
February 3rd.
Yeah,
so
baby.
The guy goes on the Reddit post. He's like, "Did you check your BIOS updates?" And the guy's like, "Yes." He's like, "Check them again." Because I had this problem and it was a problem. And I'm thinking, well, this doesn't apply to me because I already did all that. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna not be lazy as I've been, and I'm gonna go to Asus website and I'm gonna look at the version, and then I'm gonna look at mine, and I'm gonna look at my version. Yeah, I was like way out on the BIOS, and so I downloaded the BIOS, popped it in, did it manually, did it the old school way.
See, now here's the thing. Does your motherboard have the, put the bin on the USB, plug the USB in, and it's got like an easy flash utility built in?
Yes, it does.
That is not even the hard way,
well,
by the way.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The easy button was doing it in Windows, like
right.
Just hit the easy button. So that's what I mean by being lazy.
I refuse to do that because, like, if I'm sweating, because every single time it's always like, don't touch it, don't look at it, don't breathe on it.
Yeah, right. Don't breathe on the
Nothing.
BIOS.
Because if it reboots or you lose power, then
You're
your whole thing is gone, right? So I'm
You're
like,
done.
if I'm going to have to feel that, I'm going to go into that, old DOS-looking mode or whatever,
right.
With 16 colors and, let it crawl across.
When I had to do it the old way, I mean like 2 years old. Like
yeah. Oh, I'm just
not talking 10 years old, 15 years. I do remember those days. Those
with the floppy disk.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember running the floppies and up.
Some sort of DOS mode, crazy nonsense.
Now it's gotten so easy. Like in the Easy Flash, the BIOS, like you can even go like subfolders. Like, do you remember? Like you had to unzip it a certain way, and the folders had to be in a certain hierarchy, or it wouldn't see the file. Anyways.
They were
I got in there,
very finicky.
I run it. It takes 10 minutes. I boot that sucker back up, run it, and I'm like ultra settings. Everything's running. Like the grass is blowing. I can see droplets of dew, and everything's running great. So, noob corner, we're going to call this.
Noob corner.
And as someone who has built, I don't know, 100 computers, like I can't even say. Like I'm literally just a lot of computers that I felt so stupid. Like I couldn't believe that it was something I thought I had done, but because I took the easy button instead of doing my due diligence, I was frustrated for no reason, really, for a couple of days. And check your BIOS, guys, when you're building a new machine, especially if you're using state-of-the-art processors and video cards.
Yeah, I think I get to shirk a lot of this because I tend to not buy stuff, as soon as it comes out. This is more of I'm a 6-monther kind of guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the motherboards that I get, I guess, have a higher version on the BIOS because I've never run into that, which is
I thought it would have, but the BIOS that was in there was from September, and the one that had just been released. Now, mind you, it had just been released the day before.
Oh, wow.
right.
Like the day maybe it checked and maybe just something hadn't updated in that local software. I don't know. It was there, but had I gone and checked,
You rip it open and like the URL was wrong, so it was like,
Yeah,
nope,
right.
didn't find anything.
Yeah.
it's like, nope, nothing there. But anyways, so note to all you kids, check your BIOS. But if it's working, don't touch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Arco Linux.
Wait,
You guys ready for
you did
this?
Arco? I did Arch. What?
Oh,
Whoops.
did I get it wrong?
No.
Nah.
Man. All right, let's just shut it down. Let's do this over. We'll start over. All right. The distro for January is Arco Linux.
No.
No, just kidding, guys. No, we had a whole month with Arco,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure we have some thoughts.
Absolutely.
But as is our custom, we are going to go way, actually not that far back because it's fairly new. But we're going to go back a little bit because, interestingly enough, Arco Linux, so in January 2017, so we're, 4 years ago next month?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
4 years ago, it did not exist.
It's interesting.
Did not exist yet. Or at least the name and perhaps the purpose of it. It may have existed somewhere in Erik Dubois' mind back there. Maybe he was working on it, but it was not out yet. So in order to kind of get the background on Arco Linux, we have to go back a few steps. We have to go back all the way to Crunchbang. You guys know about Crunchbang.
Yep.
It's the hotness right now.
Oh,
wait.
Maybe not so much
No.
now.
Not so much. No, not the hotness anymore. Crunchbang was eventually abandoned in 2015, but prior to that, it was built on Ubuntu, later based on Debian, and it was a distribution that was featuring this custom OpenBox window manager in lieu of a desktop environment. So you were working with this OpenBox window manager, and that was the environment you were working in. After Crunchbang had ended, well, then you get into Bunsenlabs, and we've all heard of Bunsenlabs, still running strong, sitting out there. And they had carried on this simplistic, lightweight approach forward, and it's still, again, being actively developed. Well, out of Bunsenlabs, light bulb went off in somebody's head, and they said, hey, what if we took Crunchbang / Bunsenlabs, the same lightweight style, because it seems to be working well, and let's throw it on Arch, because that's always the challenge, right? It's like, hey, it's working well. Let's throw it on.
Let's see if we can break it.
See if we can break it. But no, probably a good idea, right? Because now you've got you've got this lightweight environment, but it is up to date. So your packages are fresh and everything. You've got access to the AUR. All of that's working. So that's where we see Arch Labs come into play. Now, Arch Labs, who took, again, what Bunsenlabs was doing on Debian, put it onto Arch. After that, from there came another distribution, which we have been working on, which is Arco. And the reason Arco came about was because there was some discrepancies as far as direction they wanted to go. So the guys over at Arch Labs, they wanted to keep that same, again, simple, focused, light environment. But Erik and Matthew Dobson, who was, they kind of had some creative differences and went their separate directions. Erik Dubois ended up splitting off and starting up what was called Arch Merge Linux. And the idea there was that Arch Merge, so he was taking OpenBox, which was already, they had been working with, and then he was mixing in XFCE and i3, the window manager. And when you did that install, you merged Arch Merge, get it?
Mm-hmm.
You merged that, and that's what you had out of the gate. It gave you a few options to kind of get your Arch feet wet, so to speak. And their goals there were to teach, to encourage growth, help users learn, and not just Arch, but Linux as a whole, and then also the desktop environment. You have XFCE, i3, so they completely different directions, right? We can kind of see how those two don't line up. Where Matthew was heading in one direction, keep it simple, stupid kind of philosophy of we've got this plan, and Erik's like, I've got another plan, and this is how we end up with Arch Merge. Now they start adding more desktop environments as a possibility, and they come up with Arch Merged Linux. And
they just threw a D on it.
Yeah. Well, and I get it. Like it's kind of like a play on like, oh, we've merged. Like it's been done, son. Like we've merged it. So like I get that.
Yep.
Arch Labs had started in January 2017. So I just want to give an idea of the time frame here. From January 2017 to the end of 2017, November, that's how long it took. Less than a year for their creative differences to occur.
Wow.
So you're talking about 10, 11 months at most. And then now from 2018, in February 2018, that's when Arch Merge comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're just a couple of months from this split there. So all of the name changing and that in February, at the end of February 2018, Erik has an announcement that he makes. I learned very quickly, if you want to know anything about what Erik's up to, YouTube.
Yeah.
That's where you will find him. Most of the times I would have Googled for a press release. I didn't even bother. I'm like, here it is. Boom, right there. He's got a YouTube video on it and it's ready to go. Arco and YouTube are synonymous. We're going to get into that later, but just amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of content that is there. But they kind of talk about how he talks about in this video, again, from February 2018, what his vision is and where they're trying to go. And what he outlines there slightly, but if you go to their website, you can really see it play out, is they have this phased approach to learning Linux and eventually Arch, the Arch way. So rather unique, I think, as we'll find, the way this positions itself, because I think most distros, you install, so you don't install Manjaro to learn how to install Arch the Arch way, right? You install Manjaro because it's Arch the easy way. Endeavor OS, it's Arch the easier way. Like they've added in some kind of niceties that make it to where you have mostly the latest packages and everything else. You get to kind of live on the edge, but there's really not as much danger of falling off the cliff as much as just being straight Arch. Whereas Arco, their path, we'll go through their 6 phases real quick. Phase 1 is install the Arcolinux ISO, which includes that XFCE, i3, and OpenBox, so that Arch merge, so to speak. And this is where you get your Arch Linux feet wet. They have kind of a nice base package. They've got the apps already in there. So let's say this is for lack of a better term, the Ubuntufied Arch, right? Like it's a package. I wouldn't even say it's Manjaro.
It's ready to go.
Maybe it's a little Manjaro-ish. There you go. I'm gonna.
And you don't get that weird 2-week lag either. This is from the Arch repos and all that, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is Arch packaged up for you.
Yes.
Pure Arch.
So, and it's a good way to get your feet wet, because Arch, when we talk about Arch, I say, I don't know if you guys experience, but like Arch was the thing you conquered at some point when I was getting into Linux. It was like, and maybe for others it's Gentoo or I don't know, something else. But Arch for me was like, ooh, one day I'm going to try that. I'm going to do it the Arch way, especially before we had the Antergoses and the Endeavor OSs and before Manjaro had really hit big. Like Arch was like this thing you wanted to conquer. And it was a lot of just flipping through Wiki and going through the Arch Wiki and, and then a lot of sometimes unpleasant people telling you to go read things. So this kind of peels that back and really has a phased approach to say, by the end of this, you can do it the Arch way. Phase 2, they have this ArcolinuxD ISO, which is a minimal install using Calamares. And it allows you, they have written some custom scripts and a few other things where you can still take those original 3 environments, but you can then learn how scripting perhaps impacts pulling in your packages and getting those things ready and getting you all set up to go. Phase 3 is you grab that same ArcolinuxD ISO, again, a minimal install, but now it's focused on education and installing more desktop environments. They're saying, hey, we've got all these environments. So now you're not just XFCE, you're not just i3. Go out and get it, buddy. And here's all the desktops. And it's we'll go through it. It's quite the list. Phase 4, now we switch to a different ISO. This is the ArcolinuxB ISO. And in the ArcolinuxB, this is the build your own ISO, like the bring your own beer. This is the bring your own ISO. You decide what to install, what you don't want to do, all the packages, your decision, and then they help you to wrap it into your own ISO, basically your own Linux, a stepped approach of that ISO. Yeah. And that's phase 4. Now, phase 5, now that you've gone through that process, it's okay, install Arch the Arch way. This is it. No more hand holding, but amazing video holding, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I just cannot stress the effort that has gone into making this such a simple process.
There's an ocean of videos. I don't know how many I watched, but enough.
There's some really great, blog post, webpage is to go along with all of that as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Every one of them.
Yeah. We'll hit all that as well. We'll hit this last phase then. So after you've done Arch the Arch way, got everything to your liking, phase 6, the final phase is they want you to work on building your own Arch-based ISO they call it Carly, or Customized Arch Linux ISO. So not just building from scratch, but actually packaging up your own Dan Simmons ISO, and now you've got it set up and built.
Dan Simmons OS, here it comes.
That's it. Maybe not.
You let it out of the bag, Leo.
I'm sorry.
January's
spoiled it.
January's Dan Simmons OS.
Sadly disappointed you will be.
It's based on Debian Stable 3.1.
No.
And it's got LXQT in it.
Yeah, it's LXQ.
You can have any desktop you want as long as it starts with L, middle X, Q, and T.
Yeah, that's for you.
It's dance. But yeah, it's essentially a handheld journey into Arch. And that's that. I couldn't really get over it. As I was digging into this, I'm just like, man, I don't think this is unlike anything out there.
No, there's nothing like
that
it.
I've seen. I haven't seen anything. And the fact that it wasn't on my radar very much, like I'd heard about it, but not, this is, phenomenal.
How many distros out there set out to make sure that people don't stay? That's because that's what Arco's doing. They're quite literally in 5 steps showing you exactly how to leave Arco.
Yes,
so, but
exactly.
I think that's
it's awesome.
That is, I think, one of the best things about getting to know a teacher. He does not expect you to stay around forever because there's only so much that he can teach you. And eventually you're going to have to branch out and learn things on your own and do stuff by yourself. And that's exactly where he leaves you at phase 5. He's like, there it is. You've done it the Arch way. There's nothing left for me. I mean, you can watch the videos and learn some cool things, but you won't be doing that on Arco. You'll be doing that on Arch. So, yeah, it just, it's
you
very
now
unique.
have a badge. You can go to the Arch Wiki.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
You can now go leave comments. So yeah, I mean, every step of this process, it rung to me, think about the ambition, that this is an ambitious project, because if you don't follow through, again, we're going to talk about how many videos there are later, but the follow through is insane, because now you're talking about, you're not just putting together a distro, because that they are doing that, but you're developing a training program. And anybody who's ever worked on any type of content, if you're a teacher or whatever, I used to train teachers to do technology. And I'm going to tell you, the worst part was creating the documentation and sitting with my development team. And they're like, all right, move the mouse here because we're going to do a screenshot. And then we're going to move to this document.
Move the mouse where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which screen was that on?
Hang on, my computer's off. Give me just a minute.
It is, it's a long process. You got to love it. You got to love what you're doing. And what it shows for me is just that Erik here, and his team there, again, he's kind of the name. If you go in their Telegram chat, like he is on it and answering questions left and right. But he has a passion not only for Linux, not only for open source, but for education, for community. And just the effort, the focus, the dedication, the skill, and the patience to pull something like this off. And it's good, right? It's not like, I kind of was thinking like to be honest, like when I got, I'm like, okay, like, is this going to be hokey? Like, you ever seen those, like, those training programs? I don't remember. I remember when I was like a teenager, like, learn photography in 5 videos steps. And like, like you could write out of the back of a magazine. Like, this isn't that.
No, it is
like,
not.
These are legit. You will learn. I learned a lot, just little tidbits picking up here and there. So definitely an ambitious project. And I feel like they've delivered quite the product.
I agree. I tried to build the hype train and get Joe on board, and he's always very hesitant to listen to me. But this time he reluctantly went along with it. And I'm happy to see him pleasantly surprised.
Well, look, this is the way. So I think what ends up happening is, so for me, I've done the whole Arch thing before, and stupidly chose Deepin as the very first DE I was going to install.
It's a great one to start
Arch.
with.
Good job by you, Leo.
Yeah, no, that didn't work. No. But anyway, so you go through the whole process. I got GNOME on there, and I think for me, Arco might be where you come back around to a little bit, where I've done it. I don't know if you want to set up those scripts every time and have them run every single time, every time you want to install your machine. And, that may not happen very often. But if you're a distro hopper or somebody that wants to change things up a whole lot, but you still want to live on that Arch edge, I mean, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
This is one way to do it. There are 3 or 4 or 5 other Arch spin-offs.
Sure.
But, I mean, this has some niceties in it that I think are just fantastic and might bring you back. So you might leave and do things all Archy for a while and then come back, because I might. This is pretty good.
It's also nice to just have it done for you.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah. Sometimes cobbling it all together is just a little too much.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience that I mean, I've done it. I know you guys have done it. I would highly recommend anybody who, not your first foray into Linux.
No,
or maybe
don't start there.
We are not.
No,
we're not. I'm not talking to you, guy that just got here. Hang out for a little while. Go take the Linux tour that we all took. Check out, the Ubuntus, check out Fedora, check out OpenSUSE, check out even Manjaro, like check those out. But when you feel like you're ready to learn how to install Arch and you don't want to go print off a bunch of wiki pages,
or maybe you just like pain,
but you want to learn, why modules load and how you want to understand how the software makes the hardware talk to the operating system and how the drivers get loaded and all. You wanted to go through all that and understand each piece of your machine, which is a great learning experience, and you will know a ton about Linux and computers when you're done. This is an excellent place to start. Excellent place to go do that.
When you're ready to be serious about learning, This is the way to go, I think. I mean, when you install Ubuntu, you don't think about which bootloader you're installing, grub, EFI. You don't think about any of that stuff. It just does. And so this makes you think about what you have and how you get it to work. And so it's a planning process. And they give you the tools to do your own research. So it's more than just handing you a cookbook of, here you go. Here's how you research the methods to get it installed and maintained.
Yeah, absolutely. And now what's really cool, I think we all quickly found and started playing with the Arco Linux tweak tool.
That's pretty cool.
Leo, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Let me get my screenshots. Hang on. So the tweak tool, right? So this is something that Arco Linux packages in for all of the Bs. If you go grab one of the B ISOs, it's in the plain Arch. The Arco Linux ISO. So this is just something that you get when you come over to Arco Linux. I keep saying Arch, but they're so close. So close. There's even an A in everything.
Yeah.
But these are just some of the cool things that Arco does for you. Like their welcome screen, the very first thing that you see when you get into the Arco Tweak tool is the auto start stuff. So it's got a few things that it starts up, like variety. And for me, I had the one that I was using the most was UKUI. So it had a flash disk app that would come up, and then of course the Arco Linux welcome app. So that was just a nice little touch. That way, if you wanted, I'm more pure, you just flip them all off and remove them from the list if you just never want them to come back. But I tended to like the welcome app popping up every single time.
Yeah, it wasn't fancy, but boy, it was effective.
Well, the thing that I liked to do was just click the update mirrors thing.
Oh, that was nice. Yes.
I know that the mirrors don't change that often, but, I mean, you click a button, close the box, and don't think about it again.
Well, and you definitely want to do it the first time you boot.
Right. So it's presented for you right there, right in front of you, so you can just push it and move on. But it was fantastic because one of the videos that I was watching, and I'm not extremely familiar with Arch. I've never had an Arch install for more than just a few months. So there are game-breaking changes that come down periodically where, all the mirrors got updated or some of the mirrors changed, and you will try to go and update, and it's just going to throw out about 7 million errors at you, and you're like, what is 404? And, if you don't do some of these things, you can end up in, if you wait long enough, a fully broken state. So there's some care and feeding there. And the fact that the button that would solve more than half of the issues that you would run into is just there is so nice. And, it gets you into that mindset of, oh, yeah, I probably should update those mirrors. And when you're ready to do that, when you're ready to swap to the terminal, you can. Mm-hmm. And that's literally just the command. I don't know if this is an Arco command or an Arch command, but mirrors. Is that an Arco thing?
It might be an Arch
command. I feel
command.
like it would just be an Arco thing, but maybe it's Arch.
It might be an alias to something.
Maybe. But when you type in mirrors, it's the equivalent of clicking that button. Mm-hmm. So that way you ease into the feel of the terminal and doing things there. But anyway, that ended up just being a thing about the welcome app, which is fantastic. But so you keep moving down the list of the tweak tool, and you find the desktop installer. And oh boy, is there a lot of power in this. This one is kind of scary because you can quite literally, they've got like 20-something DEs that you can choose. Some are tiling windows, some are full-fledged, minimize everything, kind of, plasma, like that. But you can just easily just go in and press, oh yeah, cool, I want that one, install, right? And, well, it looks good until you open the hood and start rummaging around again. So you'll go, I want Awesome, I want BSPWM or whatever it is, I want Plasma, I want GNOME, I want Budgie, I want. And then you realize you've got 18 different file managers on your machine.
And you can't remove them.
Nope.
And yeah, because you'll break one of them. You'll break one of your desktops. So, be selective, but yeah, you really can just go in and just say, you know what, I'm feeling a tiling window manager right now. Let's go try i3. And I mean, that was quite literally my thought process. I really wanted to do UKUI, so I did. But then I was like, let's try i3 again. I remember I had a good time with Regolith. So I did that. Just pick it from the drop-down, click install, done. That is all you have to do. And then you can log out, choose it in the little drop-down, and log back in, and you are on i3. All carpal tunnel, weird twister hand motions.
Gymnastics for your fingers.
You're there. Okay, here comes the hate mail, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But that, I think, is just, it's fantastic. It's again, just an easy way to roll into this idea that, it's all Arch, right? You can have it all if you want, but here's a way to make it easy for you. Grub themes, the next one down. Okay, so I read this wrong the very first time that I came up to it. It says grub themes, not desktop backgrounds.
Oh.
And so I open it up and I click on one and I click apply and I'm like, why didn't it change?
Nothing happened.
It's broken. It's broken. What?
This is
and so
hot garbage. Yeah.
Right? And so I ended up making a few other changes, ended up updating my kernel as well. So I was like, okay, reboot.
Yeah.
Well, I rebooted and it was all pretty for some reason. And then it struck me, those weren't desktop wallpapers. Those are grub themes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they give you a grub themerizer. I don't know what you call that, but grub theme selector. And they've got some really cool Arch-themed ones. They've got a little Space Invaders one, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and certainly you could just add your own. So they make that really easy for you. HBlocker, there's another one. I love this. Speaking of my dead DNS server, HBlocker behaves a lot like Pi-hole, but it's local. You check the box, or you flip it on, update the what do you call it? Like the DNS lists, the host lists that they use to block, and then you get to enjoy the same lists that everybody that's over here talking about how awesome Pi-hole is, if it's not on a dead SSD, is, right? And it's pretty fantastic, right? So, I mean, ads are just poof out
like
of
on
existence.
your laptop, you're taking it with you. So you don't have to worry about pointing to some special DNS server somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's one thing about Pi-hole that you don't normally get unless you're running it in some kind of weird VM kind of situation.
Yeah, or a VPN
you don't get to
back
take it with
to
you.
it or something. But yeah, this is
right.
Take it with you.
Exactly. So HBlock is fantastic. Turn it on, update those lists, and just enjoy less malware, less tracking, and less ads, man. You don't get rid of all of them, but I mean, yay.
Yeah, cutting down. That's good.
You get rid of some of them, and you can feel good about yourself.
Yeah, it's like wearing a mask or not wearing a mask.
Right, exactly.
100% of your breath will kill me. 96% will still kill me. But 5% of your breath, and I might survive.
I'll take 5%.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's also Light DM auto login. So this is quite literally just, choose the DE that you want, turn it on, apply. And that way you don't have to present a password. It just drops you in there. But you'll hit the old dreaded wallet reminder. Hey, you didn't log in. Give me your wallet password so I can open up your Firefox.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
I wasn't excited about that.
Yeah, but I've just gotten used to over the years just typing a password in. So I didn't. Yeah, I did not mess with this setting, but either way, still good. The NeoFetch editor, because that's what we love to do. Because if you're running Arch, the number one thing that you do when you run any variant of Arch is go post your NeoFetch all over the internet so everybody knows that you run Arch, right? That's exactly what you do.
Hey, Reddit
and it's
is
a script already, right?
Waiting for you.
It is.
Is a script already running? I launched the terminal. I'm like,
yes.
Well, that was cool.
Exactly, because Arco understands that you just want to show people your NeoFetch, right?
Yeah,
so
that's it.
This is one thing that you can do. So they have a NeoFetch editor where you check all the boxes or uncheck the boxes of information that you want to see on that screen.
So you can hide that it's Arcolinux and just pretend it's Arch?
You can. And speaking of, you might be able to see that tweet that I put out there, which is I did a tweet of UKUI, did the Arco thing, but I used Windows 10 as the image for NeoFetch. Yeah. Because it really does. Like those icons really do look very Windows 10-y. So not Linux FX style, but real close. Real close. Mm-hmm. So it gives you that Windows vibe.
Nice.
So NeoFetch editor, fantastic little tool if you want to kind of configure how NeoFetch presents your info. And then Pacman configuration editor. This is what repos do you want? Now, Manjaro kind of gives you this in their Pamac thing, where you can flip them on, flip them off, but this is just external to the package manager, the package manager GUI. So it's just in the tweak tool. So all the Arco Linux repos are available. You can go in and add in the Arco test, or the Arch Linux test, or the Arch Linux community, or multilib, or there are a couple that I was not brave enough to turn on. I don't know what they are, but Heftor's repo and Bobo's repo, I don't know what packages you're pulling out of there, but they sound fun. I
Bobo? It better be clown themed.
That's probably what it is. It's like a clown-based plasma theme comes out.
Yeah. Maybe try that in a virtual machine first.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how long I'll stay with Arco, but the moment I decide to get rid of it, I'm just going to turn on that repo and try to pull everything from it, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. And it's a real easy way to add custom repos to pacman.conf as well. So, yeah, again, just it's a GUI ease in to how things are really done underneath all the covers in Arch. Then Termite. So now, I don't know if you use Termite outside of Arco. Is Termite an Arco thing, or
I've used Termite before, but not very often.
So it's not. Got it. Well, this is a place where you go, still in the tweak tool, a little further down, termite themes. So you can go in and change the termite themes. Like in Plasma, where you would normally like right-click and edit profile and choose your stuff, you do that here in the tweak tool for termite, as opposed to, in the menu in console or in GNOME terminal.
Yeah, GNOME terminal, yeah.
And for i3 and Awesome, there's a theme switcher. That is what it is. And then you've got a Zish theme switcher. So if you're using ZSH as your shell, this is an easy way to change up your themes if that's what you like. So, just tons. That is the Arco Linux tweak tool. It's got tons of stuff to make your stay in Arco way better. And they are not shy about telling you how the sausage is made. No. So that, I think, is probably the best part about tweak tool, is that, it's not blinding you from anything. It's just making it easy.
Yeah. And it fits. I felt like it fit everything that was there. It didn't feel out of place. I tried it on a couple of different, I don't know how many DEs I ended up with, but my list is long on the right side of the screen.
And so is your file manager list.
But the nice thing is like that, the whole point of this, and that's what, again, if you take it back to that phased approach, phase 1 and phase, the first part of the phase 2, it's to explore. And now I can install, like, you're not going to use this. Like, if you have decided I want KDE and I want, maybe I do want to use Arco, but I want KDE, you're not going to use this. Like, you don't need all the, even from the get-go, out of the gate, you're going to have the XFCE i3 and OpenBox. Right. If you do nothing else, you have those three. So you're not going to go this route and need that tool for installing desktop environments. You're going to do it a more traditional way, or just, I think they have the ISOs, right?
They do.
Ready for them. So you'll just download that ISO. But this is for that education. Like, what is a window manager? Right. Let me try. Because doing it the Arch way, when you're ripping out desktop environments, and you might as well start over at some point, because you have ripped out too much or added in too much, or something didn't go well. It's not a good plan. This, you can add them in, you can play, and then you can just reinstall once you figure it out.
Let's face it, like, a window manager isn't for everybody, and it's not a great place to jump right in. So having, a window manager alongside with a traditional desktop environment is probably not a bad thing, so that you have something to fall back onto when you can't quite figure out how the window manager works.
When you forget those key combinations.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
See, that was a big thing for me. That's exactly why I started with UKUI and slowly kind of moved into i3 a little bit.
Not a bad plan.
And then once my fingers were all contorted in really horrible ways, I moved back to UKUI.
Right. Once the arthritis made it so I can't type no more.
I swear I heard somebody say that tiling window managers were a way to combat repetitive stress injuries. And I'm like, that's the way that you create them. Did you see, like, Control-Shift-R? Just like the kind of stretching you have to do with one hand to make that stuff happen, man.
Yeah, it reminds me of how small my hands are.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like window managers are not for me at all. I knew it going in. Yeah, I have much respect for those who are into it, like Mr. Simmons, who has now moved from the LXQT team to the awesome team that he works for.
There's applications out there right now, folks.
Hey, so you do get to use both hands, whereas most of the desktop environments, you're only putting the one hand on your mouse probably most of the time. So I guess you do get a little extra.
You don't operate your mouse with two hands?
I don't need to do that.
What kind of weirdo are you?
It's not that big. It's pretty small.
Weird, man.
Like,
well, when the situation was like, Control Alt and an arrow key, or Control Alt and a something on the right hand half of the keyboard, I was great because it was only it was two keys on the left and one or two keys on the right. I was golden, but some of these are just like Control Shift Tab 1, 2, and 5, and you're like.
Vulcan mind meld sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And some were just uncomfortable to do where it was all on the left-hand side, but I had to bring my right hand over to do that, whatever that was. And those are kind of the little sore spots that I'm sure you get used to. I don't think a month was long enough.
No, and it probably depends on your keyboard layout too, right? Everybody's keyboard, like you look at those extra keys, like the shift and the control.
I didn't even think about that.
They're not in the same place everywhere on every keyboard. So, having them straight in line on your keyboard, they might not be on another keyboard.
It's my keyboard. I knew
it's all your keyboard's fault.
It's my keyboard.
Okay, so I can blame the keyboard and I can feel great about myself.
Yeah, we've moved on from DNS, so there we go.
I conquered window managers, except sans keyboard. That's what it is. Yeah.
If the window manager just like hooked up to my brain, then I think I would love it.
Coming 2023.
Right.
Hey.
Awesome. Yeah. So wonderful tool, sounds like. Built in. And also, now that I got my document back up because I lost it, get over here. Okay. So some of the things just stand out other than the tools, the apps, things that stood out to me. Their website, I think, is phenomenal. What really got me is every section you go into. So let's say you're interested. You're like, let me check out the Budgie desktop. Boom, 10 videos. Install Budgie. How to install the Budgie desktop. How to do this. Oh, you know what? Let me check out Deepin. Oh, how to install the Deep. I mean, there is a video walkthrough on every step of the way. Every step. And that is just, and that takes, to get that layout right too, it felt good. So we were joking about some websites earlier. Linux Mint no longer holds the crown.
Oh,
I have found a distro that has shown them up. I think we need to write Clem and let him know that
he's third place now.
I think you need to apologize, Joe.
I have to apologize to Clem. Clem, I know you listen religiously, so I want to tell you that as bad as the Lime Green website is, I found your competition, and you have another thing coming, sir. You better look out. These guys got it locked down. We'll have to feature them at some point.
Yeah, we will.
We won't out them. We won't out them right now, but because for all I know, it's like one guy and a cat and a dog working on this distro. But still, I just was like, Dan, look at this, Dad. Dad, you'll never believe.
We did like the whole Mystery Science theater.
Oh, yeah. We could have a whole episode on their website. Anyways, they couldn't host a web episode on their website, but we could have an episode about their website. Thank you for all you do, developers. Anyways, their Telegram community.
Oh,
also,
that's fantastic.
I jumped in there right. Oh my goodness. I just a bustling, active Telegram group. And the developers are engaged and involved, and they're not coming back at these their users who are asking questions. They're not coming back like, oh, dummy, it's right here on this link. They're engaged. They're trying to help them. They want it again that education process. Here, let me help you. Let me show you. Just phenomenal. The whole ecosystem around this is it's just amazing. So some of the basic types of the distro, again, we've talked a lot about it, but you have this multi-phased approach. So you have the Arcolinux ISO, you have the ArcolinuxD. So this is the one where you're going to start, I'm going to say the dinking around ISO, right? You're going to be dinking around. You're going to be looking around, poking buttons, fixing stuff. Then you have the ArcolinuxB, which is the bring your own Linux, you build your own. And then there's the eventually you don't need any Arcolinux because they have worked you into Arch Linux and you'll be going there. So the base system, of course, is Arch. Desktop environments, awesome. BSPWM, Budgie, Cinnamon, Deepin, DWN, GNOME, HERBSLUFT, i3, Window Manager, JWN, KODI. KODI, you can install KODI straight out of the box.
Huh.
LXQT, Mate, OpenBox, Plasma, QTILE, Spectrum, Window Manager, UKUI, XFCE, XMONAD. That's 21 desktop environments.
Hold on, I want to talk about SPEKTRWM real quick because you say that fast and it says Spectrum, but
Spectre Window Manager.
Yeah,
that's what I got from it.
SPEKTRWM.
Yeah,
but I swear, were they going for Spectrum? Because I think they nailed it.
Yeah, I don't know if they were or not, but they definitely.
I was
nailed
thinking
that,
Spectre.
Yeah.
I was thinking James Bond Spectre.
Oh yeah. Well, no, you're right because it really is SPEKTRWM.
Yep.
But I mean, I feel like adherents might just say that really quickly and come out with a Spectrum. SPEKTRWM. Huh?
Yeah, I'm really surprised you didn't go with JWM.
Well, I feel like it would be a little too on the nose. Joe Window Manager. I don't know. Well, and as discussed, window managers.
Not for Joe.
Yeah, I just, again, I applaud you all that have time to learn key combinations. I just want to type and click stuff, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
From a ripe young age, I'm sure Joe was using a mouse, and it was certainly the same for me. And I think that's a big reason why it's so hard for me to get into tiling window managers.
You know what? Actually, I remember struggling to learn the mouse because like I started on like a Tandy, and it didn't have a mouse. It was an early 80s Tandy, and it was all keyboard, and you just F1, F2 or whatever at the top to get to your file and all that. And then I remember because I did AutoCAD in high school, no mouse.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
It was all command line, so it was at this coordinate. Draw a line to this core. You want to talk about some typing, man? So no, it's not just that. It's the, what it is. I tell you,
I was just picking on you.
No, I know, but I can see. So there are people who
see what you started, Dan.
Well, think about it, Leo. I could probably ask you anything about Linux Mint, and you would probably know mostly like where it's at, what it is, what it's doing. Dan, I could do the same thing with LXQT because you guys have spent or are spending a lot of time in that same environment. And so what I've learned, like, Computer Kid, I think he's big into Window Manager. I believe. I
think he does a lot of i3.
Anyways, i3, right. And like, so he's a younger guy. It's what he's been doing. And I think it's that muscle memory, right? If you learn it and it's what you're, and you're happy. I am like one of those people. I got to try it all. I'm going to be on GNOME, and then I'm going to be on KDE, and then I'm going to be on Cinnamon, Psych, and then I'm going to be on Nope. But I'm going to jump around and I'm going to try them all. And so I know enough about all of them, but I think window managers require you to really invest and just be, when I get in a GNOME cycle off of KDE, like I'm going to be in GNOME a little bit going, where was this? Where was this? Okay, yeah, now I got it. And then I got it after a couple of weeks. KDE, same thing. But I think to make those i3 and Awesome and all them useful, you got to be quick. You got to be good at it. You got to kind of live in it. Dan.
Yeah.
Plus you're awesome.
Yeah. Well, it was awesome.
Oh.
Yeah. Your file manager is going to depend on your DE for the most part. Whatever you install, package manager. So they're using Pamac as well, just like Manjaro.
Oh, cool.
And it was even Pamac 10, I think, as of like they were right on the ball. Yeah, it was updated. Kernel currently 5.9, but it's Arch. So hey, by next week when you hear this.
Yeah,
Might be
it'll
5.10.
on 5.10.
I think it's 5.9.14. Who knows where it'll be by then. And again, your display manager and all that's going to be based on your distribution. And so Arco Linux, you guys, what do we feel? Like you lived with it for a month. How'd you settle in? Other than, we covered all the main details, but what's your personal take? Like, should this exist? Who's it for? Why is it there? Is it a good thing?
I think it's
What do you
a
think?
fantastic thing. We talked about all the obvious, it's a great learning experience, but it helps you get on the way so that you can get there on your own. I had a great time. I did awesome window manager, and I stuck to the one, me personally, and I think that helped. Like you said, you have to spend some time in it, and I did. I even went as far as to just make sure I used my laptop for work and did some home stuff, and I spent more time. I didn't bounce systems. Like, I do that a lot, right? I'm bouncing from home desktop to my work desktop to my laptop. It depends on where I'm working, but like, I tried really hard to just kind of stick to my laptop, and I think that helped me get the key bindings better. Awesome. The way it's set up in Arco was really good as far as once I learned, Super S, that's going to get me my shortcuts. So I had my safety net there. Anytime I needed to go look up my shortcut because I couldn't remember it, Super S, there, I'm there. And the other thing is with Awesome.
Hey, you know what Super S does in Manjaro? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd try that. Didn't do anything.
Anyway, the other great thing about Awesome Window Manager above the other window managers is you have a right-click menu. And so if you right-click on it, you've got a menu that you can pull up your, application that you want to pull up in case you don't remember. I got to the point where it was fine. Like, the things I use, I could easily use the shortcuts. And I also learned Rofi. I learned the Rofi shortcut. Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Did you theme it? Did you at least theme it?
I did theme it.
No, he was on a
all
window manager. It didn't matter.
I did theme it, though. It actually looked pretty nice, I thought. I thought it looked nice.
It all looked like a library computer in Goonies.
But I learned the D menu option as well. So that's way up at the top bar. Little menu. It's not flashy
I've
at
got
all.
one of those, an
Yeah, D
i3.
menu.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's the same D menu. So that comes from the Suckless tools. And
The what?
Suckless tools?
Suckless?
Yes, that's the name.
So they suck less?
I feel like that's what
that's
they're for.
the idea. Yes,
Yeah.
they
That
suck
was
less.
that? I mean, did I hear that right?
So
Like suckless?
DWM is also from the Suckless folks. And
I really got to Google it. Wait, I'm not going to Google that because I feel like I'll end up.
I'll send you some links, Joe.
There you go. Please,
That'll
could you
help.
send me some? I'm not going to.
That'll help.
You can click on all my links that I send you.
You said it really fast. You know how when somebody doesn't want to hear, like, your mom goes to college, like, like you, like when somebody, like you kind of suckless. So I was in the suckless menu, and then what was that menu? Suckless, and then so I went to the suckless, and then so I wanted to make sure I heard the pronunciation of the menu.
You got it, man.
You got it.
That's absolutely
So
it.
Absolutely.
you go to the big D menu, and it's
Yes.
suckless.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
That's what they tell me. Anyway,
All right, well, I don't.
that was also very helpful. I could pull up any application that I, was searching for. So, those things combined actually helped me get where I needed to be. But I've used a tiling window manager a couple of times, so I already had some familiarity there. And,
That's why you liked it so much.
yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
You
Yeah,
charlatan.
So Super 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm switching desktops and
Yeah.
got things maximized. I don't know. It was just pretty fantastic. I really liked it a lot. I like the tools that Arco gives you to work with and the theming things. Like you said, the ZSH. I actually tried a little bit of that. That was kind of fun. I don't normally use ZSH. I usually use Fish, but hey, it's there. I'm going to try it. And I liked all the add-on tools. They were pretty cool.
Very cool. Leo, how'd you make out?
my main DE was UKUI. So I was juggling UKUI with i3. And every time I got frustrated with i3, I would log out and I would log into UKUI and I'd be like, Windows, I'm home. So UKUI is pretty fantastic. I know I've been harassing you guys to do Ubuntu chillin'. I don't know. It comes up every time, just about.
We talk about it, yeah.
And this was my way to cheese it in here, and I really enjoyed it, except for the one time I turned it to Chinese language and could not change it back, so I just reinstalled.
That's the best. That's the best.
I remember vaguely where I was supposed to go, and I got to the point where I needed to change it back, but English was also written in Chinese, so I didn't know. I didn't know which one was which at all.
That would have been great to be there when you did
my
that.
God. And so it was fun. It was humorous for sure.
Exactly.
But I was like, well, all right, let's hope I can at
Did
least
you just keep picking until you got to like a Latin-based language?
Well, so you had to log out every time. It wasn't instant.
That's rough.
You had to log out each time you changed it.
Just reinstall.
Yeah, by the time I logged out 6 times in a row, I probably could have had it half installed.
Forget it.
I was like, all right, so as long as I can get to my Nextcloud instance, I can drag and drop some files and just nuke this thing from orbit. So yeah, I did that at least one time. And so, but it was good. Outside of that, once I stopped tinkering with the language stuff, and this all spawned because I could not get the clock in a month, day, year situation, right? It's I think it was year, month, day is the way that they have it. And I changed it from 24-hour time to 12, because us over here in the U.S. just can't handle more than 12. So we just count to 12 twice, right? And that's how we deal with that. But so I was changing all of that.
Fingers,
and
is there another way?
Yeah.
There's another.
You can, if you can count to 24, you can totally tell time like the rest of the world.
You got to use your fingers and your toes.
See, and then you run out. See, I think that's why we can't do it.
I know.
I can get to 20, but I got 2 ears, a nose, and an eyeball.
The way that I handle it is I count to 10 on my fingers, I count to 10 on my toes, and then I count to 4 more off the Cheetos that I have under my desk. That's how I handle it. And it's
I used to count on my teeth, but I had to stop at 4.
So, but UKUI was great. I mean, it's exactly what you expect. It's built off QT, so it's nice and fast, and at least from some of the lower powered hardware, will actually run fairly well. I didn't really have. There's really nothing of note that broke except for the language stuff. And everything
which
else,
you broke yourself.
Yeah,
which was totally my fault. Totally my fault. I did break it another time, and again, my fault. So this is the ArcolinuxB ISO. I used that and installed what I suspect. I don't actually know how it broke because I rebooted and it was just black. I got nothing, like no grub, no nothing. So I think it's because I installed too much on the, when you're going through the installer.
I want to see how big I can make this ISO.
Yeah. You went high score, yeah.
And so I checked everything, I was like, I need this, I need this, I need this. So what I think broke it was I had the regular kernel and the LTS kernel. I installed them both.
Might not be happy about that.
I don't know. And then,
although, you know what? I had to roll back. I could not boot into the standard 5.9 kernel.
Oh, see, mine was the opposite.
After the initial update, I had to go do the rollback. It updated twice while I was in it. I couldn't get it to boot. I would just get black screen.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe that's what I ran into, but in the opposite, because I was running on the LTS kernel. But what was funny is that I just didn't do the LTS kernel in the second install, and it worked just fine. So
okay,
but I don't know how I borked it up, but after I stopped playing with it so much, it ran just fine. So yeah. And then with i3, I mean, I don't know. I've already alluded to it a bunch of times, but I just couldn't get into all of the key combos. There are some that I remember, right? Like, it's not Windows key, it's super key, right? So super Q. I got really
quits.
Into that because that quits all your windows, and I'm cool with that. I've accidentally hit that a few times, and I'm like, Firefox, no!
Yeah, come back.
Hey, you
Firefox.
know what super Q does in Manjaro?
What? Nothing.
It actually does something.
Oh, does it?
I don't know what it is.
I thought you were reeling me into that one too.
No, it actually did.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that right now. Just saying.
Well, I thought maybe it would quit my whole
kills
Zoom
Audacity.
Yeah, jeez.
Oh, it did. No, it didn't.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You're killing me.
You're just saying these super combos. I just want to try them.
So that's what I kind of expected
them
coming
are.
from Regolith, but everything else kind of has like a Control-Alt kind of thing going on. But also the stacked thing. I thought now this is coming from a guy that does not use Tiling Window Manager anything ever. I thought that was a Pop! OS thing.
Oh
no.
Yeah. No, it comes from the Tiling Window Managers. Yeah.
Right. That this is something that's been around for forever, and Pop! OS just happened to add it to their particular tiling window thing. I'm like, oh, so I get to see. I don't know if i3 came up with it or anything like that, but I got to see that. Yeah, this is totally a thing that's been around for forever, and you can use it as much as you want to right now. And so I did because Dan, I was I was complaining about things.
Yeah, he's like, my windows are so small, I can't see. And I'm like, well,
like when you got 4 windows up and you're like, you know what, I want to do some Googling, and then you open up a Firefox and it's teeny tiny down there in the corner, and you're like, how do I even fix this? And you got to like go to resize mode, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who told me how to fix this. It may have been in Telegram, and I've lost the message by now. But thank you for telling me how to resize with the keyboard, because before that,
there's a keybind for that.
Getting into the resize mode, which I could do with the keybind, but then using the mouse to get to the edges and like move that around. And I'm like, well, what's the point of that if I'm going to have to go to the mouse anyway? And so I learned a lot, and I hate tiling window managers less now.
Well, that's good.
I think it's mostly just because I've never used them. I'm unfamiliar with them. It's a lot of learning, and so therefore I just don't like them. But they grow on me, and I think maybe if I do it again and again and again, I will finally see the light, and maybe one day move over. So convince me, maybe.
Okay.
But it was good.
I see the light. It's just at somebody else's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't need that light. I'm good on my lights. Like it's a good light. I'm sure.
Yeah, I've got it on.
Like, I see how it's great.
Yeah, I've still got a clapper over here. Hang on.
Yeah.
And the lights go off.
Oh, some of the best throwback commercials ever.
I know.
So it sounds like we all, I think, had a good experience overall. Like I think
Absolutely.
Now I will say, going into this, I think you have to appreciate, like, this is a different animal.
It is.
If you're thinking of trying this and doing this, it is, again, this is not your Pop! OS. This is not your Ubuntu. This is a different type of thing you're embarking on.
This is like the car that you buy to work on. Like it's not 100% when you get it. I mean, it is.
Right.
Like if you go grab one of the B ISOs, I mean, or even the main ISO, it really is. But this is something that should be a work in progress that you should tinker with.
Yes.
Yeah, even if you grab the B and you get to a point where you're like, I wonder how you change that.
Yes.
Then you can go get some research done and figure out how to make it so that it fits you.
Exactly.
I think they've done a great job. I just really, really am impressed. I even reached out to Erik and let him know so. I was just thoroughly...
Nice.
It takes a lot to... You guys know I'm pretty critical of things. It takes a lot to really... for me to really go like, okay, I get this. I'm in. I fully appreciate what they're doing. And I didn't have anything to pick at. I was kind of sad. I really had to hide my little inner curmudgeon and just go, oh, well, you know what? This is just really...
Dude,
really well done.
I always have something negative to say, but not. I really don't.
Not that we want to.
Everything negative that happened was my fault.
Right.
And I take great satisfaction in knowing that you were satisfied. Trust me, because like that's hard.
I really expect a lot, and I want things to be great. And I know that's not reality, but I feel like if I always go in that mindset, then I'm not settling and making excuses for things. I'm expecting the best of everybody, and whatever. This is really good, and
nice.
And I'm just really excited to see how it keeps going. And I would love those in our community, anybody who was able to jump in and jump onto Arco and give us some feedback. How did it go? What did you learn anything? Are you still going? What phase are you on? Like, I think there's a lot here, and there's a lot of and like I know we say free a lot, but like this is literally a free education.
Yeah.
of a lot of complicated things that I spent a lot of time figuring out on my own and figuring out halfway. So this is give you a much fuller explanation.
Yeah, well.
So this is the part where we usually say, all right, are you going to nuke and pave, or are you going to hang on to it? I feel like this is a little bit of a different circumstances on this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But what are you guys doing? Is this sticking around at all? What are your plans with Arco Linux?
I'm absolutely keeping this. Absolutely. And I don't say that often, but I'm keeping this around.
I don't think you've said it yet.
Maybe not, but...
Didn't he say it to Linux Mint? I thought he did.
I'm not sure about that one.
That might have lasted 2 days. I don't think so.
But no, I'm keeping this. I'm going to continue the learning. I'm going to continue customizing. I'm having it.
You're loving that awesome.
I am.
You?
I really am.
Are you going to play with anything else, or are you sold on awesome? Like, is that your?
I really like it. Yeah. Really, really do.
That's cool.
Yeah, for me, I think it is that learning tool, right? That I think you can use and decide to just leave behind you and then go to Arch or something like that. But this is something that I feel like is so easy for me to jump into all of the various different things like i3 and any other tiling window manager. I think I'm probably going to stick with i3. So to that end, I'm probably going to keep Arco around so that I can continue to play with i3. And maybe in a few months I'll come back and be like, all right, guys, I'm a total convert. Tiling window for the win. But don't bank on it. But I am keeping Arco around just so I can try.
Very cool. As I traditionally do, I will keep it around because, if you're going to have 75 partitions
are you
on
keeping
your hard drive,
all of the installs that you have? Because my goodness, you have a lot.
I've deleted quite a few.
I thought for a minute you just kept them all and kept adding partitions.
No. I think I have. So on my laptop, I partitioned it a certain number of partitions, and then when I get maxed out, I decide, okay, who am I not interested anymore, and it just replaces the next one and replaces that one. So I usually have 10 installed at any given time, roughly, but yeah, sometimes it gets less than that, especially if I'm really disgusted with what I just used. Then it's like, just out of spite, I'm gonna leave a blank space on my hard drive instead of your files. So,
thankfully, this doesn't fall into that category.
No, I don't think it will. Actually, this will be my. So I had wiped. I needed to pull Endeavor off, just because we weren't talking about it. We haven't done Endeavor yet, but I had it on there because I like it. This may occupy that space for me for quite a while.
Cool.
I like it, and I like the tools built in. There's, I think, a lot to learn here, and I want to keep messing with it. So
hey, but this is totally a way when someone's like, "Hey, by the way, I run Arch." You could be like, "Oh, me too."
Yeah, me too, man. Let me just wipe out where it says Arco real quick, and then I'll send you my little picture.
I'll show you how to do. Actually, that was.
It's right there in the tool.
Yeah, give you a nice little tool to do that. Yeah.
Yep. I don't need to say things like that because my manhood's not tied to my distro. Oh, snap. I said it.
By the way. Housekeeping. No.
Housekeeping.
Still no.
Ding, 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 ding.
The Linux community has some fantastic members, and we want to make sure to highlight that. In our podcast showcase for this episode, we have something completely different. It's not a podcast.
What?
Say what?
Yeah, this is good, though, guys. We would like to draw your attention to Erik Dubois' YouTube channel, and I'll have a link in the show notes, but it's youtube.com/Erik Dubois. At the time of this recording, Erik has 1,784 videos. Wow.
84? He's done 2 since I filled out the doc this afternoon?
Since you filled out the doc, Joe.
Yep.
No joke.
That's great.
And it will continue to change. It's going to be totally wrong by the time you hear this.
Oh, my goodness.
By the time I get done, speaking, I think it's going to have 2 more.
Yeah. And they're not like 2-minute videos, guys. Like, these aren't, some of them are length. Some
of them are.
Really at depth.
It's very good, though. And he's got them broken out into different topics, and he does an excellent job in training. Like I said, he teaches you the methods to learn how to research the topic that you're looking for rather than just, internet copy pasta. So I think it's an excellent tool, something to have.
I think one of the better things about watching something like that happen in a video is that you can see that it works instead of reading some text on a blog where it's like, I guess this is going to work. And when it doesn't work, you're like, well, what do you do
What
now?
did I do wrong?
Yeah. So, I mean, if something in that video is not working for you, then, something important may have changed since then. Look for a more recent one.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say that if you reached out to Erik and the team there and said, hey,
make one for you.
I tried. Yeah. He'd either create you a new video or he'd just say, oh, well, that's obviously this. And here's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or here's where to go find the answer. So, yeah.
It's
excellent pick, Dan.
It is excellent. Excellent. They also have some other great community resources that we mentioned, like the Telegram channel and a Discord, and we'll make sure to link those in the show notes. Feel free to send your emails to us at contact@linuxuserspace.show. If you like what you hear on this show, please consider sponsoring us on Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/linuxuserspace.
I want to add something to that because I think we forget to tell people. We appreciate everybody who does support us on Patreon, and we don't forget to say that. But it's maybe not possible for everybody because maybe that's not what you do. But if you do value what we're doing here, tell someone. That is very helpful. Share our podcast or invite others to our Telegram group. That's something that's very helpful to us. It gets the word out, gets our name out there a little more. And again, it's also, I would consider that a healthy contribution as well. So thanks to all of you supporting us.
Yeah, true open source contribution right there. Make sure to share.
It's like a community or something.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Which brings us to the next topic. Head on over to our Telegram group and join our community and continue the conversation over there. Yeah, linuxuserspace.show/Telegram.
All serious all the time.
We're
no jokes allowed.
Sometimes pretty far from serious, but that's okay. We do enjoy every one of you.
Absolutely.
Lastly, don't forget to rate this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast application, and like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. You can always get more information at our website, linuxuserspace.show.
This is App Focus, where we focus on things that are apps.
That happen to be apps. Should I shake it up too? We just don't do an app this time? Be like, this is the app focus, but we're going to focus on a distro.
That's fine.
We could.
I'm fine with everything.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to
do whatever you want. It's your spot.
That distro is Plex. Oh, wait, that's not a distro. That's an app. Okay. Well, you know what? The whole reason that we bring this one up in the first place is because it has a callback to the last episode with KODI, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times the word Plex came up when we weren't talking about Plex, but
we got to give it a shout.
But in the spirit of learning, this is one of the apps that I can trick people into running, but secretly forcing them to learn how to Linux at the same time. So I get all the time. Well, I mean, one thing that I know, one thing that I have learned over, I don't know, however long I've been teaching people, is that if there's no real motivation, not like me cracking a whip motivation, but motivation inside of you driving you to learn something, you're not going to do it. Or if you do it, it's going to be incomplete. So what I have found is that if you put a little carrot on a stick and say, hey, I've got this one thing that will teach you how to run basically your own Netflix, with your own content and all that stuff, but you got to do it on Linux. You end up with people that know a lot about Linux by the time they are done because you have to format disks and mount them in the right spot. And anyway, so I'm getting off on a tangent, but that's the idea, right? In the interest of learning, Plex is a fantastic learning tool. So what is it? It's basically Netflix and Spotify and live TV broadcast and podcasts all wrapped up into one app that you can run yourself. Now, I don't know how much you like to self-host your own stuff, but I do. And my SSD is dead to prove it. I'm not gonna get over this SSD. It's dead. Oh, and I haven't even been able to console it. It's just over there in the next room, lying there.
RIP SSD. You will be missed.
I haven't even brought down that server to take it out. I'm so sad. Anyway, Plex doesn't live on that disk, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you want it? It's so you can have access to your own content. And you don't have to shuffle through your DVDs anymore. You might have to, go get yourself something like MakeUpKV so you can rip all those DVDs and put them onto Plex. But that's what it does. It'll serve up all your stuff. And you don't have to pay a penny for them to, when you go on a trip, after all of this is over. You go on a trip, you go somewhere, and you pull out your phone and you try to open up Plex, and you're like, oh no, I'm not at my house. Wait a minute. There it is anyway. Exactly. Yeah. They do a proxy service for you so that you can get your videos wherever you are, regardless of wherever you are. As long as your Plex machine is on the internet and you are on the internet, you have access to your library. That is fantastic. So it'll do music as well. I've got a huge stack of old CDs that are nice and compressed in a closet. Yeah, I don't know if you lived around the whole CD era, but you remember those folders where they had like 244 CD slots? And yeah, I've got one of those. So all that music though is digitized and in Plex. So, and it's all super high quality, blah blah blah, right? So it's nice and fantastic, and I have all of my stuff at not even arm's length, right? So as long as I have my phone or a laptop or any computing device in front of me, I can get access to it, right? If it runs an app or runs a browser, you can get Plex. So that's just something that's fantastic about it. So I've got more, but y'all use it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, ooh. So what do you guys actually have on it?
So I think I'm on like my third iteration of Plex server. My first attempt at it was I think it was on FreeNAS. FreeNAS is built off of BSPWM.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had built I had a box.
It's TrueNAS Core, sir. I've been corrected.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
I have been
FreeNAS
corrected a half dozen times now, and it will always be FreeNAS to me, and I will never change that.
It's hard to break old habits. Yeah,
it is.
Quite a few years ago, I did do a FreeNAS box, and I had it sitting up in the living room. It was great. I wanted to get away from the whole jails thing is not native to me. It just, anyways, I got it set up. It was running. And it is one of those things where you just let it alone, and I just never touched it again, and it ran for a couple of years. Then I think I had a USB drive fail because it was on a USB drive.
That's how you do FreeNAS, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, and it failed, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a Linux server. So I've got it now currently running, actually sitting next to me on the floor, running with Ubuntu 2004 and running great. And Plex runs awesome on there. Installs pretty simply now. These days, it just, I think, is it the Snap?
The Snap is easy to do.
There's a
Snap is easy, man. Like, you just
Snap install
that
Plex,
sucker, and it's done. Yeah, it is absolutely done.
Plex has their own repo. They manage all of that.
Yeah.
So that's just how I handle it.
Yeah, really easy. But what's on there is my collection of movies. So everything that I've ripped, DVD-wise or whatever, that we keep. I made the joke, I think when we were talking about this a couple days ago, like a lot of it I find is on Netflix or on Amazon these days. So the kids might go there first, but there are some things that are not. I have a lot of old Westerns and just, a big movie buff growing up.
I have not been able to find Gremlins anywhere except for on my Plex.
See.
Oh, well,
yes,
yeah, that's
exactly.
nice.
And that's a Christmas movie, y'all. It's like
That's
one of the
right,
best
it
Christmas
is.
movies.
That one never gets talked about as I think Home Alone and now Die Hard.
Well, Die Hard.
Yeah,
tends to
Die
get
Hard's
talked about a
another
lot, but Gremlins, I guess.
Unconventional Christmas movies, but Christmas movies nonetheless, and Plex saves the day.
Yeah, just no water. Can't drink any water.
No.
Don't put water on your Plex server either.
Don't feed them after midnight either.
Yeah, not before midnight either.
Yeah.
Just no water for Plex.
Just no.
But that's how I use my Plex. I don't use it outside of the house. We use it just locally. I never did set up Plex Pass. I should have done it when it was like $1. I don't know. I feel like it was so much cheaper back then. And I'm like, it's fine. My internet's not fast enough. And then one day I had fast enough internet. I should have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So But that's the way I use it. We use it for movie night and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so beyond the movies and the music that you guys are doing, I use it for my podcast now. And that sounds strange, right? I mean, why do I need... You get a podcast app. No, I let Plex do that. Here's why. I can play it on my computer. I can get it started, and I can get in the car. I can continue to play on my phone. I can get to work, and then I can pick it up on my work desktop, and it'll ask me if I want to resume where I left off every time, and I can move from device to device, and I don't have to worry about, I was at 18 minutes and 10 seconds on that device. No, it just picks it up for me. It's fantastic for that.
Fancy.
That's one thing that I have been playing with actually doing. And I think I'm convinced that was the last little bit that I needed, because I'm in a situation where all of my stuff is disparate. Like none of it will talk to each other as far as podcasts go. On the phone, it's Apple, so there's their podcast app, and then on Linux, there's about 7 gajillion different podcast apps that don't talk to each other.
Yeah,
and then I've got Windows
and half
as
the
well.
time don't talk to the podcast.
Yeah, and none of that talks to each other.
None of it.
So as far as podcasts go, I've got nothing. And Plex is the only thing that I have across all of those devices, and it would solve the problem for me. So
I've gotten close with a couple other things, but Plex is, I feel like, the best for me. So I think you'll have a good time with it.
I'll dive in and definitely try that out. So there's, Joe alluded to it earlier, the Plex Pass. It gives you a lot of cool stuff. I did get in on one of those cool things. I think for me, it was like out of season. It wasn't even like Christmas time or anything like that. I just got an email one day because I had a Plex account for a long time, and they were like, hey, half price. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So I picked it up. I think it was like $70. And you get a lot of cool stuff like Tautuli. I forget what it used to be called, but it was the server monitor Plex thing. And they do that for you. It's called Plex Dash, just a little app that you install on your phone, and you see all the stats, who's been watching, how long they've been watching, when did they do it, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. CPU stats, memory stats, everything you want to know about how your Plex server is dealing.
I like dashboards.
Yeah. And their dashboard's actually kind of pretty.
Nice.
So they got a win right there. So you can see some of that stuff, I think, without paying for it, but you get a ton of information if you do. Hardware transcoding, I don't have an extra video card that I can throw in there for this kind of thing, but you get the ability to do that. And as I was talking about in the last episode, the Hauppauge thingamajig, where you can do the live TV thing, got to pay for that. So yeah, lucky me. Lyrics and visualizers and Plex Amp app for music listening. You can record the TV, and my favorite feature is on a TV show that starts up, and it's during the intro. It's got that Netflix skip intro button.
Yep.
So skip it, fast forward, straight to the show. Easy. And 4K support. And the ability to sync stuff to your device. So if you're offline, that's nice. But anyway, this is not a commercial, but it's just some cool stuff.
One of the other things I really like about Plex is sometimes you might have pulled a DVD or Blu-ray, and it's in 75.3 surround ultra sound, and then you go to listen to it, and you're stuck in 5 years ago, and you've got a 5.1, or you're on a stereo, and the talking, you can't hear the talking,
the center channel,
over the explosions that are happening. It will allow you to go in there and say, hey, amplify the talking.
Nice.
Or convert this to stereo.
Nice.
I just want it in stereo channel. And that's important, because there's nothing worse than having to go down, up, down, up.
Oh my,
down,
yes.
up during
I've done
your movie,
that
because
so many times.
It gets so loud during the action scenes, and then you can't hear anybody talking during the quiet scenes, because you don't have that center. If you don't have the center channel.
I've got a sound bar, man. That's 2.0 speakers.
Right.
Yeah, I got no choice, man. Give it stereo or nothing.
Well, I have a lady cylinder in my living room now that does virtual bounce off the walls and reads the room. And actually, I haven't had to do that anymore. I've been very, very impressed with this speaker that I have hooked up to my TV system now. So it did take away a little bit of that problem. But
Nice.
soundbar in the bedroom. And when we're watching TV in there, I have the same problem. So
Yep.
Nice.
Plex for the win.
Absolutely.
Coming up next time, we are going to explore the distro for January. Mac OS nope.
I thought
No.
you said
Not it.
Solaris.
Solaris?
I think you got an extra letter in that, Leo.
Solus. We're going to play with Budgie next month. So join us. Hit us up in Telegram. Tell us what you think of it. Tell us, be honest. Let us know. Don't get banned for 17 years. Tell us what you think about Solus. We'll be going into that in the upcoming month. And in our next episode, which will be on various subjects, we will be talking about, hopefully, things you want to hear. See you next time. Well, that's our show, guys. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for your support. Where can we find you fine folks at?
You can find me at Leo Chavez on Twitter.
You can find me at KC2BEZ.
And you can find me at Jojo Fett. Pretty much anywhere. I'm available. We'll see you guys next time in the Linux user space.
Yes, go for the second one.
I'll forget we have it, and I'll line up on the first one, and Dan will be running over people again.
I'll just run over everybody.
Yep.
It's okay.
It'll be
You
like
don't-
the movie Tenet. You guys seen that yet?
No.
I'm not.
Let me tell you.
Okay, you can. I'll let you.
Go ahead.
It's,
yeah, please tell us.
Waiting on you.
It's a mind boggler. Like, I feel like you've what was the one where they would go into the different levels of like consciousness.
Oh, Inception?
Inception? Do you see Inception?
No.
It's been a while.
This sounds very strange.
Dan, have you seen a movie? Dan, have you seen How
Yeah.
the West Was Won? How about Grease?
The good, the
Goonies?
bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, no, you
She
can go
wore
to
the
her.
yellow ribbon, Dan? Like,
Yeah, I've seen those.
Stagecoach?
Yeah,
Okay.
50 Shades of Grey?
Ooh. Dan, look,
I've heard of that.
Dan, I just want to say,
He's only up to 49.
when I first met you, everything about you screamed pop culture.
Really?
No, not
I
at
don't
all.
think so.
Now
I think you read me wrong.
I'm slow. I think I read you correctly. Pop and culture didn't go.
No.
It's all the Marvel posters that you've got up behind you, Dan.
Yeah, there's Star
Yeah.
Wars. At least there's a Star Wars. There's
I
a
have
Vader
Star Wars
poster.
posters.
And that's not even is that a movie one or a game one?
That's a movie one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's episode
Dan's-
3.
Dan's like, there have been
Ah.
9 movies made in the history of mankind. Episode
Well,
1
you know, all
through
right,
9.
so Star Trek, I've watched. I'm really more of a Star Trek fan, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Star Trek is good.